On behalf of the Sankofa Ceremony Committee, I would like to welcome you to the second annual Sankofa Commencement Recognition Ceremony. I'm Dr. Candace Hall, and I am one of the faculty members and co-program directors for the College Personnel Program at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. We gather today to recognize and to honor the doctoral graduates of summer 2020, fall 2020, and spring 2021. Thank you to the Village for being here to celebrate with us today. Thank you to the graduates for choosing to celebrate this milestone with us. We hope this ceremony brings you joy. I have the great honor of introducing our first guest speaker, Dr. Jennifer M. Johnson. Dr. Johnson is an assistant professor of higher education in the Department of Policy, Organizational, and Leadership Studies at Temple University. She's an active scholar practitioner in the fields of college access and student retention. A former Philadelphia middle school teacher with a background in science and mathematics, she spent several years working as a counselor and advisor for college access and success programs. Her research interests include pre-college access programs, historically Black colleges and universities, students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics programs, and high-achieving students of color. Her scholarship explores the ways race, gender, and class intersects and shapes the educational experiences of students across diverse institutional contexts. Along with members of her research team, she has presented at several national conferences, including the Association for the Study of Higher Education, the American College Student Personnel Association, and American Educational Research Association. Dr. Johnson holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in Biology and Psychology from Syracuse University, a master's degree in elementary education from Chestnut Hill College, and a master's degree in higher education management from the University of Pennsylvania. She earned her PhD in higher education from the University of Maryland, College Park. Please welcome Dr. Jennifer M. Johnson.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hall. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. It is such a privilege to share this space with you all. I thank the committee for inviting me to be a part of this beautiful celebration, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more about the graduates. I won't be before you long. Let me begin by saying congratulations to all of the graduates and their families. It goes without saying that while we will be acknowledging our graduates today, much of what was accomplished was only done so with the support and encouragement of our family members, partners, and friends. It was those folks who we leaned on during trying times, who showed up with a meal or a few dollars when we were struggling to get by, who watched children so we could spend a few extra hours in the library, and who were willing to listen to us talk about our research, even though they may not have known exactly what we were in school for. So we thank you for all of those small but significant gestures of support that allowed us to make it to this day. Today I was tasked with offering just a few words of wisdom, and I find this pretty remarkable because having earned my PhD 8 years ago feels like yesterday, and I feel like I'm still figuring these things out for myself. So what I share today is born out of my lived experiences and the things that I hold on to as I continue in my academic journey and my personal life. So I want to offer just 3 pieces of advice for us to think about today. First, find your calling, take that leap of faith, and find and take care of your people. I must say that I would not be where I am today without the personal and professional mentorship I received over the years. And if I'm really honest, I recognize that there were people who were pouring into me at times where I actively resisted their support. So, I'm a pretty curious and independent person, kind of loud, a little bossy. Not from a manipulative standpoint, but as my mother would point out, as a Virgo, it's just my nature. Nevertheless, I don't have all the answers, and I often am resistant to seeking out the help that I know, at least subconsciously, that I need. And so it's been people who just have shown up for me over the years, who intercede in my life behind the scenes that I am truly grateful for. And I feel like I really began to recognize this in myself while I was in college. And some of you can relate to this experience of being kind of a high achiever through middle and high school, and then getting to college, and it's a little different. Things that were kind of coming to you easily weren't just kind of going in that same flow, at least not for me. I started as a biology major with the intent to go to medical school, because that's just, that's what you know, so that's what you do. And all through undergrad, I struggled with knowing deep down that I was on the wrong path. Medicine was never my calling. I remember my mother used to say, like after I decided I was not going to be a medical doctor, she's like, I knew that, because you didn't even want to touch like raw chicken. So I don't really see how you're going to be a doctor. But it was never my calling, but that was just kind of what I told myself I was supposed to do. So I get to college, I'm majoring in biology, and I get all the way to senior year, and it's wrong. It's not where I should be, but what else is out there? What am I supposed to do? How can I not follow these expectations that have been set before me? I can't quit. But it was my senior year, and between trips to the library to study for the MCAT, I found myself in spending more and more time engaged in conversations with high school students. We had a partnership with students in this Syracuse, New York area. And in those spaces, we were forging partnerships where students would work with our college students to talk about careers in STEM. And we were really tasked with nurturing their burgeoning interest in technology, science, and mathematics. And it was in that space, off campus, in the community, around my people, that I found my calling. And fast forward, that led me to ultimately pursuing a career as an educator, and advocating and promoting for opportunities for math and science exposure within Black communities specifically. So that takes me to my second piece of advice. Take that leap of faith. Too often we are so busy going through the motions and living life that we don't stop to ask ourselves, like, are we living the life that was meant for us? We have to have that courage to pivot, to make a detour, to take the road less traveled. And it's risky, right? But how can you find your calling if you're not able to do so? How can you find your calling if you're not able to recognize that you're on that wrong path? And certainly it's terrifying. And for some in gathered today, it was a leap of faith that led you to your doctoral program. And now you're graduating. But it doesn't end here. Commencement is just the beginning. Now you need to take those experiences and those tools that you've cultivated through your programs and move forward to make a difference in your field. We know the world needs us. So in my final piece of advice, it's all about finding your people. We know that life is challenging. And after a year plus of social isolation, it's important to know that even if you're an introvert like me, we need our people. I've personally always had that inner voice that guides me, but it's been my mentors and my friends who have been that inner voice personified. These women and men continue to see things in me that I don't always see in myself, or I'm not always willing to act on. They encourage me, they support me, they check me, all from that place of love. And each person in that village plays a different role, as no one person can really be expected to kind of be all things for you. So as you continue to live your lives and navigate your careers, I encourage you to find your calling, live in your calling, take that leap of faith, take another leap of faith every now and again, and continue to cultivate and nurture authentic, reciprocal relationships with the people that matter to you. I'm blessed to have several people in this space with us right now who hold me to those words. We have continuously encouraged and supported and uplifted one another professionally as academics, but also as people, navigating relationships, navigating home ownership, and navigating the challenges of losing a loved one. So these are those individuals that remind us that we matter. These are the individuals that encourage us to follow our calling in those paths that might be a little uncertain. And ultimately, these are the individuals who recognize us, not by the degrees and the credentials that we're going to celebrate today, but as the individuals that are authentically and uniquely us. So in closing, let's continue to celebrate one another in this space, as this is a space of joy, of recognition, of Blackness. Y'all so pretty, like I'm looking at the pictures, it's just beautiful. And this is a space where we can proudly declare, not just that I made it, but that we made it. So thank you and congratulations.
Ooh, Dr. Johnson, I want to personally thank you for your words of wisdom to not only our graduates, but all that are here, because I felt that in a special way. But good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brianna Clark. I go by Bree. I am now a doctoral candidate at Howard University in the Higher Education Leadership and Policy Studies program. Just got it this week. So I'm excited for you all, and I'm excited to get to the point of where you're at today. So I have the pleasure of introducing our wonderful and brilliant keynote speaker, Dr. Stephen M. Bradley. Reared in Yamaka, Washington, Stephen M. Bradley is currently the inaugural Associate Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiatives in the Bellarmine College of Liberal Arts and a professor of African American Studies at Loyola Marymount University. Bradley received his PhD in 20th century US history with an emphasis on the Black experience from the University of Missouri-Columbia, an MA in the same from Washington State University, and a BA in history from Gonzaga University. An educator at heart, Bradley's life ambition is to personally teach, mentor, and inspire the young people who change the world for the better. Some of Bradley's publications include his newest book, Unpending the Ivory Tower, Civil Rights, Black Power in the Ivy League, which won the History of Education Society Outstanding Book Award, as well as the Anna Julia Cooper and CLR James Book Award from the National Council of Black Studies, Harlem versus Columbia University, Black Student Power in the late 1960s, which won the Phyllis Wheatley Book Prize, and Alpha Phi Alpha, A Legacy of Greatness, The Demands of Transcendence. His articles have been featured in the Journal of African American History, the Journal of Civil and Human Rights and American Studies. To discuss his research, he has appeared on C-SPAN Book TV, NPR, PRI, as well as at universities and colleges throughout the nation. He has received numerous honors and awards, including the Don Brennan Humanitarian Award, the Better Family Life Excellence in Educational Leadership Award, the SLU Faculty Excellence Award, the Ernest A. Coway Jr. Teaching Excellence Award, and the St. Louis American Salute to Excellent Young Leaders Award. He was selected as one of Deluxe Magazine's Power 100. Generous with his time, Bradley frequently volunteers on and off campus. In the wake of the tragic events in Ferguson and St. Louis, he engaged in discussions with representatives from the U.S. Department of Justice, Civil Rights Commission, and Department of Education. As a voice for the community, Bradley has appeared on BET, MSNBC, CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and in the New York Times. Everyone, let's give Dr. Stephen Bradley a warm welcome.
Hey, you all are way too kind, way too kind. I'm so happy to be here today. I'm sorry I look like Who Shot John and Why. I'm in a hotel room. I'm 3 time zones away from my home. But I had to be here today to do what they used to call bearing witness. I am bearing witness to the fact that my young, hard-charging student has completed her formal part, the formal part of her educational journey. I'm talking about Dr. Ashley Gray. I had to come bear witness to make sure that it happened, because let me just tell you this, how they would say it in St. Louis, baby, listen, I remember Ashley Gray when she was a dusty undergraduate. She won't remember it that way, but I do. I came to make sure that she made it through. Now look how beautiful she is. And so, no, in all seriousness, shout to Dr. Candace Hall as well, Dr. Ashley Daniels, all the good people that I know. So thankful for you all letting me be here today. So I'm going to try not to bump my gums too long, but you know I come from the Baptist tradition, and so I'll have you home before 6 o'clock. I promise. Before supper time, you'll get there. Listen, I came today to talk through the words of a couple very important and influential American philosophers. One of those being the American philosopher named Tasheed Epps, otherwise known as 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz said to us, "They ask me what I do and who I do it for." They ask me what I do and who I do it for. This is important. This is important. I love that he said this. Now the rest of the song is probably, you know, it's problematic and that sort of thing. But that particular part of the song has deep philosophical implications. And so I'd like to stretch out, if I could, Mr. 2 Chainz questions, because there's really 3 questions that we have to ask today. And let's see if you can get to them. First name Chainz, last name too. Let's see if we can get to them. First question is this: from what are you graduating? From what are you graduating? Second question is this: to what are you graduating? To what are you graduating? And then the third question is: for whom are you graduating? For whom are you graduating? Now you see how I did that? I didn't leave any prepositions hanging off that thing. You see how I did it? Look, that's why I got a PhD. Hey, I've been working on it. Yes, yes. So those are the 3 questions. Those are the 3 questions. From what did you graduate? Now, some of you all will say, well, I graduated Howard University, or I graduated Temple University, over where Professor Johnson is doing a thing, changing the game. But you'd have it wrong, wouldn't you? You're graduating from the person that you used to be, right? You're graduating from those circumstances that you used to have. That doesn't mean you forgot them. It just means you're graduating from them. This is an important thing because we'll need that part for the second part of this, and that is, to what are you graduating? To what are you graduating? In my mind, it does us no good to have any more PhDs, EDDs, whatever these, like, it doesn't matter. That's useless. That's useless. What does matter, however, are the people who are willing to use the knowledge that they gained all these years by way of struggle, by way of blood, sweat, and tears to help the people. Woo, doggy. I hope you understand what I'm saying. That your letters are useless unless they are used for the people. And this is what I'm trying to get to. And so when they ask who you do it for, right? When they ask that, you should say for the people. You should say for the people. Professor Johnson talked about her work in the community. That's your duty. I had the honor of being with Dr. Ashley Gray on the streets of Ferguson. I don't know if you remember that, young doctor. I don't know if you remember us being on West Florissant. I don't know if you remember us being out in front of the police station. I don't know if you remember that. We didn't have any business out there, except that we did have business out there. You were a PhD student. I was a professor. We had a duty to be out there. We had a duty to win. I'm going to share with you something that I think maybe you could appreciate, and I hope you can but this is the best gift that I could find. If I could, I would send you all a pint of liquor, if I could, and a you know, and a $50 Amazon gift card, but I can't afford it because I'm in higher education. So as a result, I'm going to give you what I got. And what I got is the gift that another American philosopher, one of the greatest to have ever lived, outside of Tashid Epps, AKA 2 Chainz, one of the greatest philosophers, American philosophers ever, somebody by the name of William Edward Burghardt Du Bois. William Edward Burghardt Du Bois wrote a letter to his daughter who had gone off to attain her education in Europe. And this letter, I think, has implications for where we are today, okay? And so I'm going to read this part of this to you and digress a little bit from it, but I want you to take these words and hold them to your heart if you could. And so he writes, W.E.B. Du Bois writes, "Dear little daughter," this is so precious to me because we know Du Bois is a scholar. You all read all of his scholarly works and this kind of thing, but this is to his daughter. He says, "Dear little daughter," and I'll skip some parts. He does all the, you know, the perfunctory greetings and that sort of thing. But he says, "Above all, remember, dear, that you have a great opportunity." This is what I say to you today. You have a great opportunity. You are in one of the world's best schools. I say that you graduated from one of the world's best schools and this is what he writes, in one of the world's greatest modern empires. And I say, and you graduated from one of the best schools to decolonize the world's greatest modern empires. Millions of boys and girls all over this world would give almost anything they possess to be where you are. And I say that is true. You are there, and please hear this part, because I want you to argue with me. You are there by no desert or merit of yours, but only by lucky chance. Some of you all are like, Bradley, listen now, I worked hard. I got the blood, sweat, and tears. Like, I understand. But there's something else to this. I don't know if you all have ever heard this word called favor before. I don't know if you've ever heard of grandma's prayers. I don't know if you've ever heard of professors that extended extensions. I don't know if you ever heard of that before. That combined with your blood, sweat, and tears and hard work and struggle, that's how you arrive. Brother Du Bois says, no matter. He said, deserve it then. He said, study, do your work. Listen to this part, you're gonna love it. Be honest, frank, and fearless, and get some grasp of the real values of life. The real values of life are not going to be, let me just clear this up for you, impressing your colleagues. That's not the real values of life. There's nothing you can do to impress all of your colleagues, no matter who you are. And many of you on the screen today are African American and African descended women. There's this funny thing in America. There's nothing you will be able to do to impress everybody. Somebody will always think that something about you is wrong, or that you're the problem, or something bad is surrounding you. So pay attention to the real values of life. He said, you will meet, of course, curious little annoyances. One of those, of course, being racism, but many of these things we call microaggressions. He said, people will wonder at your dear brown. Your dear brown. I see you, Ashley Gray, with that dear brown. I see you. He said, but that simply is of no importance and will soon be forgotten. Remember that most folks laugh at anything unusual, whether it is beautiful, fine, or not. You, however, listen to me, you, however, must not laugh at yourself. That is, take yourself seriously. Now, I argue that you do have to laugh at yourself in this world. You do have to at some point or another. But you must know, he writes, that brown is as pretty as white or prettier, and crinkly hair as straight, even though it is harder to comb. And Ashley Gray knows about that. She knows about that. The main thing is the you beneath the clothes and skin, the ability to do, the will to conquer. Listen to me, the will to conquer, the determination to understand and know this great, wonderful, curious world. Don't shrink from new experiences and custom. Take the cold bath bravely. Enter into the spirit of your big bedroom. I'm almost finished here. That's my first closing. Enjoy what is and not pine for what is not. Listen to me when I say this. Enjoy what is and not pine for what is not. Because you graduated, because you did everything right, because you submitted all the papers, because you submitted all the paperwork, you're used to doing what's right and getting the results that you're supposed to get. I am saying to you today that unfortunately, you won't always get what you want. But one of the things that you have to do, see, I know what kind of people you are. You're the kind that goes from task to task to task, trying to achieve. But the one thing people like you forget is to remember to be grateful for this moment, to celebrate the smallest of victories, from opening your eyes to being able to open your computer and it works. Those are victories. Celebrate the smallest of victories with your friends all the time. There's plenty in the world to cry about. There's plenty of things that are not right, but celebrate when you have the time. And finally, he said, read some good, heavy, serious books just for the discipline of it. Take yourself in hand and master yourself. This is important. Take yourself in hand and master yourself. Until you master yourself, you will master nothing else, is what I say. Make yourself do unpleasant things so as to gain the upper hand of your soul. Above all, remember, he says, and I say to you, your Father loves you and believes in you and expects you to be wonderful. I say to you today, if nobody ever expected you to save the world, and by save the world, what I mean is save yourself so that you can be available to the world, so that you can be available to the people. If nobody ever expected anything from you, I do. And so today I celebrate you, I admire you, I aspire to be just like you, except with more money, I'm just playing with you. Loan me $20, I'll get it back to you around tax time next year. I'll get it back to you. In all seriousness, congratulations. Thank you for letting me be here with you today. Continue to rock and roll. You're the best thing we have going in this nation, in this world. Continue on your path of greatness. Thank you.
Man, Dr. Bradley, you were preaching a word and we appreciate you. So thank you again for joining us. Now is the time that we've been waiting for to recognize our graduates. And announcing the names of each graduate, we have Dr. Felicia Commodore, Assistant Professor in Educational Foundations and Leadership in the Darden College of Education at Old Dominion University. Dr. Commodore received her PhD in Higher Education from the University of Pennsylvania's Graduate School of Education. Dr. Commodore obtained an MA in Higher Education Administration from the University of Maryland, College Park, and a BS in Marketing with a minor in Sociology from Drexel University in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Dr. Commodore's research focus areas leadership, governance, and administrative practices with a particular focus on HBCUs and MSIs. Dr. Commodore's research interests also lie in how leadership is exercised, constructed, and viewed in various communities and the relationship of Black women in leadership. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thank you to the committee for this opportunity to read the names of these awesome graduates. Each graduate will be given 30 to 60 seconds to give brief acknowledgements to our guests. Give brief acknowledgements. To our guests, we ask that you remain muted and use the chat or reactions to celebrate the graduates as they are announced. So first up, we have DeLeon Addison. DeLeon is receiving a DMP from Troy University in Health Informatics and Nurse Leadership. Her dissertation is titled Health Literacy and Clinical Outcomes Among Immigrants. Her future aspirations are to be a full professor and grow Addison academics.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. Like many in life, I encountered my own set of barriers and challenges during this journey, and I thank God I am here today to experience this moment. Tested, but not broken. A woman who has continuously sought to increase my knowledge and set extremely high goals for myself. I found a way to jump every hurdle and sit before you today as Dr. DeLeon Addison. Almost 20 years ago, I was one of 3 African Americans graduating from a gifted program in my hometown. Today, it seems not much has changed as I joined the less than 2% in the world, 1.2% of that who are members of the US population who have a doctorate degree. Less than 8% of that are us, African Americans. This makes holding a doctorate rare. It seems that I continue to be among a small few, a rare jewel. How humbling to be counted among us. To be an example for my daughter of what hard work and determination can achieve. To my heart and Princess Sarah, who even in her young age was the best cheerleader a mom could ask for. To my parents, whom I could not have achieved all of this without their love and support. My family, friends, mentors who have nurtured and pushed me to always be the best at what I choose to take on. Thank you. I am blessed and grateful that I have such a loving and supportive family in my life. I would also like to sincerely and wholeheartedly thank my DMP project committee for their guidance and support during this process. They are among rare committees that build up as opposed to break down. Thank you, Dr. Wong, who allowed me into your clinic and stood by me and assisted to facilitate and ensure that my project was completed. Thank you for your kindness and support. I am blessed and grateful that all of you were a part of my journey. To my esteemed colleagues joining me today and fellow rare jewels, may we use our knowledge and, as Ms. Amy says, rarefied air to help those who look up to us and look like us to come behind us. Congratulations, colleagues.
Thank you. Next, we have Naja Baptist. Naja is receiving a PhD from Howard University in political science. His dissertation is titled The Black Mosaic Experience, examining the influence of race consciousness on Black music and Black activism. He aspires to become Professor Emeritus at Howard University.
Thank you. For some reason, it's not allowing me to show my video. Oh, here I am. I would like to thank the members of Sankofa, as well as my department, Dr. Lawrence Lorenzo Morris, Dr. Alfonso Grant. I also like to thank Dr. Darrell Harris, Dr. Clarence Lucane, and especially Dr. Niambi Carter, who sit on my committee. I was one of the 2020 Corona graduates, and it is my esteemed pleasure and honor to be here today. I don't know what else much to say after the excellent sermons that we've heard this morning, but it reminded me of the saying from Frantz Fanon: each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. I'm currently an assistant professor at the University of Arkansas, And I tell my students each time that I give them and I baptize them in the traditions of Howard University. I can't thank Howard enough for giving me the opportunity to be able to redeem myself, to be able to meet so many family and friends now that are now colleagues. And I would like to just say thank you to everyone that has ever supported me, who has ever said a prayer for me, that we continue on to make Howard the Mecca, the capstone, the greatest university in the world.
Thank you. Next, we have LaCrissa Crenshaw. LaCrissa is receiving an EDD from University of Missouri, St. Louis in Education Practice, Social Justice. Her dissertation is titled Bridging the Gap, a closer look at educational inequities and strategies to support African American students. Her future aspirations are to consult across the country in education reform for social and emotional support for students and their families from marginalized communities.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to Sankofa Committee for this opportunity to celebrate all of us as we grow in the opportunity to be the change we wish to see in the world. My greatest blessing has been this opportunity to stand on the shoulders of our great giants that came before us, that were courageous and served in humility to get us here, and some fought by way of means that may have been Malcolm X or Martin Luther King to ensure that we had this opportunity. For me, I am grateful because I was a student that never saw this opportunity as a possibility. I had a teacher that started me in a very early age to believe that I was not scholarly, or I was not the type of student that could ever be a doctor. And to fight from that kind of spirit break that that teacher had at that time to be at this point today is how God shows up in your life when you hold on to the three things of hope, faith, and love. And so for me, this has been a true blessing, and I'm grateful to my family that has supported me, my mom, my son, my daughter in love, my family, my work family that has been encouraging, to my colleagues that have been emotionally, physically, and mentally supportive in this journey. I thank them for being sometimes more than the wind beneath my wings in this journey. And so my hope is that I become an inspiration or an encouragement for other students that may have suffered through trauma or had experiences that were like mine when I was younger, to see that there is greatness within, that we all have come here for a purpose, and hopefully to help guide them towards that purpose so they are able to also continue the work that's being done to support each other, to build our community, and to definitely, again, use hope, faith, and love to inspire the change we wish to see in our world, and let educational equity rise as our biggest goal. Thank you.
Next, we have Ashley Daniels. Ashley is receiving a PhD from Howard University in political science. Her dissertation is titled Unlocking the Power of the Sisterhood Vote, exploring the opinions and motivations of MPHC sorority Black women supporting Black women candidates. Her future aspiration is to be a nonprofit research director and a professor.
Hello, everyone. I am just so humbled and just so grateful to be here with you all today. I really did not know what I was going to say, but I think, God kind of had his own way of doing things. And I would just like to quickly share a poem that I wrote like maybe a couple days after I defended. So it's called Tomorrow, and it goes, run fast and quick to tomorrow with the dream that you have today. You mustn't stop at midnight, love, when you see things in the way. Run fast and quick to tomorrow. Embrace with arms open wide. May the warmth of your brilliance make your heart beam with great pride. Run fast and quick to tomorrow. Take your beautiful wings and fly. For not only does God meet you there, God is also at your side. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ariel Diggs. Ariel's receiving an EDD from Temple University in Higher Education Administration. Her dissertation is titled, Examining the College Choice of Black Students Enrolled at a Rural College. She aspires to continue to excel in more challenging human resources roles. Okay. Next, we have Sheldon Hilaire. Sheldon's receiving a PhD from Virginia Tech in Crop and Soil Environmental Sciences. His dissertation is titled, Impact of Manure Land Management Practices on Manure-Borne Antibiotic-Resistant Elements in Agroecosystems. He aspires to become a research scientist in industry or government field.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks again for having me. I want to start off by echoing the sentiment and every affirmation that has been said before. There were a lot of good things said, and I'll try not to be too long, very brief. There are a lot of people that I would, want to thank along the way. First and foremost, God, of course. I feel like my life has been ordained, and even when I didn't know what my path was, there was a path laid before me, and I've just been trying my best to fulfill that. My family, my mom especially, brothers, sisters, everybody has been very supportive on my journey, and I definitely would not have been able to make it without their assistance. My wife and my in-laws, they've been very supportive over the last 4 years while I pursued this degree. All of the people on my committee, the other grad students that worked in the lab that I worked in, everyone who helped me while I did my research in the field, everyone who helped me with my writing. Again, I can't name names, but there have been a lot of people that have been instrumental in helping me get thus far. And it's very nice to see, others on this journey who look like me. In my graduating class, there weren't many people that I could really relate with. I mean, we have academia as a common ground, but of course there are other things that, make us unique. And so again, it's just really nice to be here and be a part of this. I think it's very special, and I hope it continues. And I think that's all I have to say. And congratulations to everyone, and let's continue to be excellent.
Next, we have Ezene Ofebu. Ezene is receiving a PhD from North Carolina State University in Educational Leadership, Policy, and Human Development. Her dissertation is titled, Being a Black Woman Means Strength, an exploration of the college experiences and identity of Black women student athletes at predominantly white institutions. She aspires to get tenure at a research institution and launch a research center, which will explore critical issues of race and gender in sports.
Okay, hi everyone. First of all, I have to acknowledge that I'm here by the grace of God. If it wasn't for him guiding my steps, sending me to North Carolina to complete this degree, I'm not sure that I would be here right now. I also want to acknowledge my family. I am the daughter of Nigerian immigrants. It has been an immense just privilege to be able to get this degree and share this with my family and my parents, because they came to this country so that I would have the opportunity to do this. I also want to acknowledge my fantastic advisor, Joy Gaston Gales. When I was coming into the PhD program, it was very important for me to have an advisor who looked like me. And I couldn't have asked for a better supporter, mentor, advisor, and advocate. And I would not be here today if it wasn't for all of the people who had a hand in guiding me towards this field, in guiding me towards my study and the populations that I study. So yeah, I'm grateful for the planning committee for putting this event together. And I'm very excited to see how this program grows over the years.
Yeah. Next, we have Ayo Sakai Rosier. Ayo is receiving a PhD from Howard University in political science. Her dissertation title is Linguistic Imperialism, an analysis of the political rhetoric of domination against and through the African American lens. She aspires to be an entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. My camera is on. I want to say thank you all so much at Sankofa for having me. It is so wonderful to see all of you beautiful, Black excellence, amazing people here graduating alongside me. I'm so honored and I'm so proud of all of us. Congratulations to all of you. I would just like to say, like most of you, most of us in the Black community, we have struggled and we always have to perform 10 times harder, 10 times better, just to prove how amazing we are when we were already born this way. But we have thrived and we have resisted, and here we are. And I want to thank my family as an immigrant myself, for supporting me. I have the most amazing life partner, my ride or die, my children who are up with me all the time, supporting me and doing everything to make sure that I am successful. And for that, I'm truly grateful. Howard University has nurtured me in a way that I've never expected or anticipated being nurtured. My amazing advisor, Dr. Daryl Harris, the rest of my committee, Dr. Molefiketi Asante, who guided my research in Afrocentricity, Dr. Clement Akasi, Dr. Shockley, who is one of the premier educators, in the world and in this field, and Dr. Ifedi, and of course my external examiner, Dr. Crystal Temple from Pittsburgh University. I just cannot be more proud and more happy to be graduating from Howard University, the illustrious Howard University, and I'm very proud of all of us for this accomplishment. Thank you.
Next, we have Tiffany Steele. Tiffany is receiving a PhD from The Ohio State University in Higher Education and Student Affairs. Her dissertation title is Disciplinary Disruption, Exploring the Connection Between High School Sanctioning and Black Collegiate Women's Experiences. She is currently an assistant professor, aspiring to be a vice president of Student Affairs.
I've been trying to not cry because I am also a part of the summer 2020 group, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm thankful for this space. And he said, who you do it for? They on the other side of the screen. They are screaming while you were talking. And for those 5 Black girls who shared their stories with me, I pray I do them justice and I carry them with me and I continue to collect those stories and make sure others hear them and know them. And shout out to my sis Candace Hall for holding me down this entire year. I love you. Okay, and I'm done. Thank y'all so much.
Oh, thank you. Next, we have Jamie Swift. Jamie is receiving a PhD from Howard University in political science. Her dissertation title is Toward a Queer Americanidad, State, Structural, and Symbolic Violence, and Afro-Brazilian LGBT Women's Resistance in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. She aspires to open a physical location for the School of Black Feminist Politics.
Hi, everyone. I'm trying not to cry after Dr. Steele. I'm really happy to be here. I'm humbled to be here, and thank you to the committee of the Sankofa ceremony for allowing this to happen. And I haven't fully comprehended the magnitude of what it means to be a Black woman to receive a doctorate yet. I think I'm going through these array of emotions, but I really see it when my grandmother keeps calling me, my 78-year-old grandmother calls me all the time and says, Dr. Swift, or my dad says, Dr. Swift, or my mom says, Dr. Swift. And for many of them, my parents didn't get to finish their education. And so I'm grateful that they believed in me, prayed for me, and they're able to see me graduate. I also want to thank my host family in Brazil for their loving kindness towards me and all the dope, amazing Black Brazilian feminists I was able to interview while in Salvador. And I also just want to thank Mrs. Drake. Mrs. Drake was the senior executive assistant in the Department of Political Science, and she passed away earlier this year. And unfortunately, she didn't get to see some of us graduate, but if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be here. So thank you to Mrs. Drake. I love you. And thank you to all the praying Black women and people in my life who covered me in their prayers. And I appreciate all of you. Congratulations.
Next, we have Ariel Williams. Ariel is receiving a PhD from Louisiana State University in Educational Leadership and Research, Higher Education Administration. Her dissertation is titled, A Case Study on Alternative Spring Break, Supporting Black Women at an HBCU. Her future career goal is to become a Vice President of Student Affairs. Additionally, she wants to continue to build her legacy through her nonprofit, Always Traveling, which encourages students of color to travel domestically and internationally while in college, regardless of budgetary constraints.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Ariel Sunshine Williams. I am an author, entrepreneur, mentor, leader, doctor, daughter, sister, auntie, and member of Alpha Kappa Psi Business Fraternity and Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. And I am proud to say that I am the first in my family to earn a doctorate. With that in mind, I dedicate my degree to my mother, my brother, and my niece. As I am approaching the 1-year anniversary of my successful defense of my dissertation, I want to publicly say thank you to my participants from Howard. Without them, I would not have finished. While my doctoral experience was not perfect, I earned this degree in God's perfect timing. As a 2020 pandemic PhD, I didn't have the pleasure of participating in a traditional in-person defense or graduation ceremony. Therefore, I am truly grateful for this opportunity to be recognized. Thank you to the committee for putting this together. In closing, to anyone interested in pursuing a doctorate degree, do not let anyone or anything, or even yourself, get in your way. Put your pride aside, apply, stay the course, and finish. In the words of the late, great Nipsey Hussle, it's a marathon. Congratulations to everyone being recognized, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Next, we have Crystal Young. Crystal is receiving an EDD from American College of Education in Instructional Technology with a concentration in Higher Education Administration. Her dissertation is titled Influences of Housing Insecurity on Post-Secondary Participation, a Digital Connectivity Qualitative Study. She aspires to transition into Higher Education Administration. Okay. And rounding out the group, we have Ashley L. Gray. Ashley is receiving a PhD from Howard University in Higher Education Leadership and Policy Studies. Her dissertation is titled, I've Got a Testimony, Black Women College Presidents, Ascension Barrier Stories. She aspires to create meaningful, community-engaged research that amplifies and liberates Black women.
So sorry. Thank God for grace. I am already crying, but let me say this. I am incredibly grateful to share this space with you all. Sankofa is a labor of love. And as a graduate and also as an organizer, I get to see this on both ends of the spectrum. I want to start off by reading just a couple song lyrics from a song that lives rent-free in my brain. And it reads, "May your struggles keep you near the cross. May your troubles show that you need God. May your battles end the way they should. And may your bad days prove that God is good. May your whole life prove that God is good." I am extremely grateful for God's grace. I'm grateful for a mama that prays and snatches up when necessary. I'm grateful for sisters and nephews that keep me grounded. I'm grateful for my village, my sister scholars who stand in the gap, my God. And I am grateful that 6 Black women college presidents trusted me with their testimonies. These testimonies were heavy in a lot of spaces, and they thought I was capable and qualified enough to tell it. I'm extremely grateful to my beloved Howard University, the school that trained Frankie Muse Freeman, the school that created a Lucy Diggs Slow, the school that created a Zora Neale Hurston. We are unmatched in our ability to create the most dynamic Black women, and I'm grateful to be called among those women. Thank you to everybody on this call who's participated. And I want to remind you all that when you have the opportunity, tell your testimony, good, bad, ugly, do it scared and tell it, because it's going to be a blessing to somebody else. So thank you all so much. Before I melt, I'm going to go back on mute. I love y'all. Thank you, Auntie Karen, for being here.
Thank you. These are your 2021 graduates as part of the Sankofa Docs community. We, those who've gone before you, welcome you to our community as newly minted doctorates, and those who follow behind you are looking at you as inspiration for what they can accomplish. So again, congratulations to the newly minted doctors of the class of 2021. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to everyone. Hi, everybody. I think I have my own slide. Hey, there we go. There's my face. Thank you all for your time and for your encouragement today, to our speakers and to Dr. Commodore, so Dr. Jennifer Johnson, Dr. Stefan Bradley. We thank you for your words of wisdom today, your words of encouragement, and we thank you for quoting the man named 2 Chainz, and all of the words and just encouragement that came from today. To our graduates, we thank you for allowing us to honor you and honoring your greatest accomplishment, honoring your sacrifice, and honoring your resolve, for the way that you've shown up for yourselves through this pandemic panorama, whatever words you'd like to choose. But to our esteemed guests, family members, friends, village people, we thank you for you being present today to celebrate our graduates. And we also thank you for being present in the good times, the bad times, and in all the times in between for the graduates to make it to where they are today. And before I pass this off to my colleague and sister scholar, Dr. Hall, I'd like for us to give a shout out, and you know her name has come up a lot today, but a direct shout out to Dr. Ashley Gray, our sister in this planning of the Sankofa graduation, our sister in the writing, in the just being present and creating village and community. We honor you today. We know that dissertating in a pandemic is the ghetto. I think we all know that, those of us that are here are present, but we also know that there are a lot of things that came your way, and you navigated them. You pivoted. You were nimble. You were swift. You were quick. You have a very strong resolve. But even in all that every graduate on this, this commencement today has been through, you of all people have remained humble, you've remained kind, you've remained sisterly, you've remained loving, and your sister scholars here today, we celebrate you. We just wanted to make sure that you knew that you get your flowers as you need them and as you receive them, and we'll be there for you along the way, every step of the way. All right, so I'm going to pass this off to Dr. Hall before I start crying.
Yes, to echo Crystal's sentiments, Dr. Ashley L. Gray, we are very proud of you and honored to work alongside you to create this labor of love, this community that we started out of a need to celebrate us as Black folks traversing this mostly difficult journey of pursuing a terminal degree. Now, I would like to introduce one of my dear friends who has supported me in a number of ways over the last year, my first year as being a faculty member, who is my community, my esteemed colleague and co-director, Dr. J.T. Snipes, who's an assistant professor at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. He's going to give us our closing prayer. Dr. Snipes.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hall. My heart is full, and I'm gonna try my best to hold it together. Y'all have touched me in a way that I couldn't have even imagined. Your stories are so rich, and you all are so brilliant. So let me pray and close this out before I start bawling. Let us go to God. Most gracious God, thank you for bringing us together today to celebrate the accomplishments of these beautiful, brilliant Black academicians. Today, like the Sankofa bird, we look to our past so that we can step into our collective futures. We move forward learning from our mistakes, growing from our disappointments, and triumphing in our futures and our life pursuits. Let us never forget that the Christian Bible reminds us that the race is not given to the swift nor the strong, but to those who endure. Today, we celebrate the endurance of these brilliant graduates and remind them that indeed the best is yet to come. Let this commencement ceremony mark the end of one journey and the trailhead of a new one in which they move forward into greater success, never forgetting from what and for whom they graduated. Now the benediction. Gathered in our varied faiths, we give thanks for the blessing of world community. As we share our common dream, homes and schools where children thrive, neighborhoods that are safe and clean, a space rich with colors and cultures, an economy where no one is expendable, a beloved community where rich and poor alike have access to the opportunity for a dignified and productive life. Churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples where our deepest hope is to be the service to a hurting world. Enable us as we leave this place to carry forth the prayer into the days ahead, turning our thoughts toward charity, our hearts towards justice, and our hands towards peace. In the name of the Father and the Son, go in peace.
Amen.